Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. Let the record show that all board members are present tonight. There was a working session and executive session prior, and that the meeting was properly advertised. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, we'd like to offer public comment at the beginning and end of each meeting, and so we'll go ahead and do that at this moment. I don't see anyone here from the public with comments tonight, so we'll again offer later in the meeting. First item tonight is the approval of our minutes from the January 3rd, 2024 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes, and if so, any questions or discussion? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve the minutes for January the 3rd, 2023.
Second.
Or 2024.
Oh.
Sorry.
Got a motion by Bill, second by Ann to approve the minutes from the January 3rd, 2024 meeting. Additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will jump to our general manager who has an affordability presentation as an information item tonight. Hey, Ed.
Well, hey, thank you for letting me present this. Good evening. This affordability presentation is key this year because it's one of our main priorities as a board, having affordability. And this presentation, I'm looking for it to be interactive, so ask me questions. And with the board's input, what I'm thinking I'll do with this presentation is try and get on the city council agenda, and so we can communicate what a good value we are at Lebanon Utilities. So with that, I would like to show my slides on the screen. So affordability is very important to us. And I want you to think about a small quantity, 79 cents. What does 79 cents buy you? Well, if you go to Kroger, and I looked it up online, at 69.9 fluid ounces of water, which is also the conversion factor, 0.13 gallons, you can get one bottle of water. Now, how much drinking water from the tap do you think that would buy you? Well, I did the math. It's about 80 gallons of Lebanon Utilities tap water. So if you were just going to fill up bottles, you'd have like 75 cases of water. So our water is a real value in Lebanon. We're very proud of it. I have a team that's been working on keeping us affordable for many years. I just want to kind of give insights into what a great resource it is, having good quality tap water. Now $6, what does $6 buy you? Well, for electricity, that's roughly the average cost per day of electricity provided 24/7 on demand through the meter. I used $180 for a monthly bill. Our actual electric bill is a bit lower than that, which I'll get into more detail of later. But I just wanted to kind of show that because that compares to the price of a Happy Meal or perhaps a Starbucks drink. So $6 is not a lot per day. And I want to make it tangible so the average customer can kind of see what a value we are. Some of my earlier presentations, I was looking at if someone ran their generator to power their home, that would be about $22 a day worth of gas. But at the end of the day, I want to make it a tactile, very kinesthetic example so that people understand just what a value it is getting power from Lebanon Utilities. There's also something called an affordability index. It compares the cumulative cost of providing drinking water that complies with the new standard for affordability threshold equal to 2.5% of median household income. So if you're applying for grants, they use this affordability index to say how much they can help you with the grant. So where do you think Lebanon Utilities falls on this scale? Well, I looked up on census.gov. The median household income for Lebanon is $63,125. The average monthly water bill is $39.68. And I annualize that, so if you calculate it out for water, we're 0.754% on the affordability index. So that's bad in the sense that we would have trouble getting grant money because we're not over the 2.5% on some of these thresholds. But we've really been providing a good value for the people of Lebanon for many years. And I applaud our staff. I've only been here 5 years. I can't take credit for the good work that Sandra and others have done, and prior Lebanon Utility Service Board members. Affordability index for electric. There's an affordability index for 6% of energy burden, which would include natural gas too for heating the house, which we don't provide. But this affordability is based on the assumption that an affordable housing burden is less than 30% of income, and 6% of that is on utilities. Then doing the same math, I used $180 for that bill, and it comes out to 3.4%. Now, I padded it a little bit because our actual bill I'll show on a future chart is a little bit less than that, but I just wanted to be very defensible and show that we are a very good value. Now, I should mention also that we have a perception problem when customers move to Lebanon. We have a lot of customers that move to Lebanon and they feel like their bill just got more expensive when it's really gotten cheaper. Like, let me just use some data that I'm going to show you in a later chart where it came from. Let's say you used 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity in a month and 535 cubic feet of water and wastewater. And that 535 cubic feet, that's about 4,000 gallons. Well, I'll let you take in this chart here. The Lebanon Utilities electric bill would be $112.55. And other, I didn't want to call out one of our neighboring communities, being a good neighbor, but one of our surrounding communities, that's what they would charge for electricity if you used 1,000 kilowatts of electricity in their residence. Water is $39.68, and again, our neighboring community, $42.64. So wastewater, we're at $46.82 for that 4,000 gallons or 535 cubic foot amount, and we're 22% cheaper than our neighbor. You look at our total bill, and if I can highlight this for you, let's see. Using the technology, if you can see that on your screen, I'm assuming it's showing up on your screen in front of you there, so it's easy to read, but we're actually 30% cheaper. But the problem we end up having is the customer who moves to Lebanon perceives their bill being about 25% higher because they compare the two numbers in the boxes with the yellow highlight. They look at their electric bill from the local electric company, and they look at our total bill, which is electric plus water and wastewater, and say, my bill's higher when it's actually lower. So it's important to do presentations like this because people don't look at their bills very close, they're busy. We just want them to know that we're a real value. Okay, this is a comparison of monthly water bills. This was prepared for us by Baker Tilly, and they've got it was for 2022 numbers. I'm getting the 2023 update very soon. But you can see, just highlighting, let me get my mouse back here. This is Lebanon Utilities in the first column here. Oh, I skipped somehow, okay. Bear with me a second, the tech doesn't want to work at the moment. Okay, there we go. So this is Lebanon Utilities in the first column, and you see we're very competitive. One thing I should say about water, and this goes for wastewater as well, is that you can look at some other towns like Frankfurt in town is a lot less expensive than us. Well, there's a reason for that. We don't make our bills in the utility business and make our rates by just comparing to other people. We actually look at what projects we have and what it costs. And if you look at Frankfurt and their water, they have abundant well water right under their town. So as far as getting to that water and getting it out to customers, it's not as expensive as it would be for us to do a pipeline. But you can see that we're very competitive, and I can also highlight that other chart I showed you, that 4264, that's where it came from, right there. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Okay. Okay, there's sewer, and you can see that's where my number came from on the bill comparison. Right in there. And I used our nearest neighbors for sewer. And sewer is very similar if you have a good place to discharge. We have Prairie Creek, which has, has very few limitations, but if your sewer can discharge to Eagle Creek Reservoir, for example, or a lake or a river, it's going to end up impacting your costs. So we're very competitive, but the people that are cheaper than us, they have geographic advantages, to be blunt about it. And here's our rate comparison from July 2002. You can see we're very competitive with our nearest neighbor, who I put in the column right next to us. IMPA prepared this table for me at my request. You can see we're cheaper than, or less expensive than other IMPA members on average. And we're well cheaper than the IOUs, or the independently owned utilities. Now, it's the beginning of the year, good appropriate time to set goals, and a lot of our goals are tied to affordability. And the way I would break it down, at the pleasure of the board, is we need to do a rate study to determine rate structure ensures growth pays for growth. IMPA does their rate study once a year. With our electric utility hasn't done one since 2012, 2013. So I would take that as a goal from the board, and you guys can push back or let me know what you think, but I think a rate study to determine our rate structure to ensure growth pays for growth. And it's not just to look at a rate increase, it's to look at the whole rate structure, because it could be that we raise a rate in one category of customer and lower it in another one, or well, it's unlikely to be lowered, but just not raise it as much. I want to redefine our IURC relationship so growth pays for growth. From prior discussions, I think the board is unanimously wanting to redefine the IURC relationship, but we're talking about how we want to define that relationship, whether it's staying jurisdictional with them or just having IURC oversight be non-jurisdictional so we can have some more freedom to change things. And water capacity development to take advantage of developer and state participation to get more capacity for the lowest cost. We've had many meetings with the IEDC, and there's a lot of growth happening. And the idea is that if we're going to have to do capacity development anyway in the absence of IEDC and large developers, and it's going to cost. But if a developer participates and gives us money, or IEDC participates and gives us money to help with it, then it's going to end up a rising tide raising all boats and end up making it less expensive for the utility. So those are what I would put forth as our goals. So that's the end of my presentation, but I can go back to prior slides, answer questions. Let me know what you think, because with the board's consent, I want to, and any changes you might want, I was wanting to get with the mayor and see if I could present this to the city council to let them know how we're doing at Lebanon Utilities and just set us up for better communication.
Yeah, good presentation. You mentioned our bill appearing higher to new customers. I wonder if there's something, and I know it's probably administrative and not easily workable, but on that first bill that a new customer gets, just something in there that's maybe a separate insert that says, hey, reminder that we bill not only electric, water, sewer, trash is also billed on this bill, and something to that nature. And you don't want to spell it out to someone like they aren't smart enough to understand. But you're right, when you see the yellow box with the total due and you see Lebanon Utilities at the top, that could be compared to just electric somewhere else. So just a thought. I don't know if
Sandra?
That's a great idea. I can also mention I didn't include trash on this. I probably should have. It's just trash varies.
And it just popped in my head that trash and recycling is also on there. So
Right.
So we will certainly look into that. We do have our bills are sent out from a billing company and not us, but I'm sure that there has to be a way for them to identify new customers and add a bill insert. But let me do some checking on that, and then I'll report back to the board whether we can do that or not.
maybe more trouble or time or cost than it's worth, but just,
I'll check into
just
it,
crossed my
though.
mind.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Great idea. And on a related note, one thing I asked Sandra to look into is we have a lot of rules that we have to follow with the State Board of Accounts that other utilities maybe don't have to follow. But when I drive by Boone RMC, they're offering some sort of lottery prize for people to go paperless. And it seems to me these mailers and inserts, if they could go with an e-bill, we could reach out and touch them more often and less expensively if we can get, and we could lower our net cost if we can get people paperless. So, because it's a great idea, but we could actually send that information out more frequently if it was on an e-bill and less expensively. But no, good feedback. Thanks.
All right, anything else for Ed? All right, thanks, Ed.
Well, thank you. I'll turn it over to
Thank you.
the next person here. So.
All right, next item tonight's action item, and it's something that our Personnel Committee will be handling as far as employee compensation goes. Tim, is that something you covered tonight for us, or?
Sure. At the end of the year, we approved pay increases for all employees with the exception of the general manager. His pay is directly initiated, and the changes are initiated by the board, the service board for the utilities. So we've had some conversation, and from a personnel committee standpoint, we're going to move to approve a 5% pay increase for the general manager.
When is the effective date?
Effective date would be January 1, 2024.
All right, thank you, Tim. Any questions, comments for Tim or the Personnel Committee?
Yeah, or Bill.
Yeah. And appreciate you guys working on this on the Personnel Committee. If there's nothing additional, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve a 5% pay increase for the general manager of Lebanon Utilities effective January 1, 2024.
Second.
Am I doing this appropriately, Sandra? Okay.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Bill to approve the 5% increase for general manager compensation effective 1/1/24. Additional comments, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
All right, that carries, and we will move to the next item, which our CFO, Sandra Morgan, will address, and it's PTO and sick leave policy. Hey, Sandra.
Good evening, everyone. So over the past month, I have been working closely with Ed and the Personnel Committee to update our existing vacation, sick, and personal leave and draft that into a paid time off policy. The final draft of the proposed policy was provided yesterday and reviewed in the working session. Tonight, I'm going to present a high-level summary of the changes only. If approved, I will schedule meetings with all of the departments over the next 2 days to explain the changes. And then I'm also plan on having individual meetings within the next, it'll at least be 2 weeks because I'll be out next week. Individual meetings so every individual person can see how this PTO policy affects their balances and how it's moving forward. So with that, our new paid time off policy, it's Handbook Policy 309. It combines previously accrued vacation, personal, sick leave into one category for paid time off. Accruals will be based on calendar year now versus anniversary date, which is what we did in the past. The accrual schedule was updated, and the bands are closer together than they were in the past. We will accrue the time off bi-weekly versus lump sum on the anniversary date, but we'll do it January 1st now. And the new policy allows an annual carryover of 80 hours with a maximum total combined carryover of 520 hours. If that policy is approved, our current sick leave policy has 2 sections to it. It has a section for all employees that were hired after March 8th, 2006. That will go away because that time will now get accrued into their PTO. We have 11 employees left that were hired prior to March 8th, 2006, and they had a different policy than everybody else. It was a policy where they were allowed to accrue up to 960 hours. We stopped that for everyone in 2006, except for those people that were hired prior to that. So up until now, they've been allowed to refresh that 960. With the new policy and moving to PTO, we would be freezing that 960 for everyone. So their current balance will be banked, they can use from it, but they'll no longer accrue into that sick policy. So that's the biggest change. And then also with the new PTO policy, the existing vacation policy will be rescinded, it'll be removed. So what we're asking for today is approval of the new PTO policy, the approval of the revised sick leave policy, and then the removal of the vacation policy. I think we have that in 2 motions right now.
All right, any questions for Sandra? If not, I will entertain some motions here.
I make a motion on the first one to move to approve the new employee handbook policy 309 titled Paid Time Off PTO and the revised employee handbook policy 325 titled Sick Leave and Personal Leave with an effective date of January 1, 2024.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, second by Tim to approve the employee handbook policy 309, paid time off, and the revised employee handbook policy 325, titled sick leave and personal leave, with an effective date of January 1st, 2024. Any additional discussion or questions?
I appreciate the efforts that the Personnel Committee have made coordinating with staff on this important and positive change.
Right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, and then our second motion.
I move to approve the removal of policy 308 titled Vacation from the employee handbook with an effective date of January 1, 2024.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the removal of policy 308 titled Vacation from the employee handbook with an effective date of 1/1/24. Discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Sandra, and thanks to Sandra for sitting down with employees and explaining this. I know that any change like this to benefits can be exciting, and employees could have questions, and so the board feels that this is a nice enhancement to benefits, and appreciate Sandra explaining that well to employees. So
Thank you.
she's going to stay right there for us while we do the handbook changes as well.
So since we just approved going to a PTO policy, it is amazing how many times vacation, sick, and personal leave are mentioned in a personnel manual. So we went back through the personnel manual, and those words touched 9 different policies. So we went in and replaced those words with paid time off or PTO. So instead of approving all of these policies separate, we're just asking that the board go ahead and approve the new updated manual as of January 1st, 2024.
All right. Questions on that change?
And all these changes in these particular policies are just the PTO changes, no other changes.
The only other change was because the FMLA policy keeps referring back to a sick leave policy and disability, we took out the wording disability and said, if you're on approved FMLA.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the updated employee handbook with an effective date of January 1, 2024.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Bill to approve the updated employee handbook effective 1/1/24. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, thanks, Sandra.
All right, thanks, everyone. And again, thank you for approving the policy. It is a very nice enhancement to what we have now.
Okay, next item is the approval of our claims payrolls transfers dated January 17th, 2024. Everyone had a chance to review those items, and if so, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the claims payroll transfers dated January 17th, 2024 in the amount of $322,204.08 for claims and payroll and $1,068,670.23 for transfers.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Bill to approve the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated January 17, 2024. Any additional questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will move to any other business that comes before the board. It looks like we have a couple items tonight, starting with our general manager.
Yeah, I'll take care of those. Yeah, thank you. Some of these items came up after the agenda was printed, and they're financially, need to be done soon, so we put it under other business. The first is approval of the Govinda subscription. For the public, Govinda is the software that the board uses to look at the agenda. It archives data from different board meetings, so we can go back and look up that information, and just helps manage the meetings and save us money on paper. So I just asked the board to approve the annual subscription fee for Govinda for $17,500.
Is that what we paid last year?
I think it's a little bit more than we paid last year. All these things go up, I want to say up about 4%. Ms. Andrew would know for exact sure.
I didn't compare. Danny did the PO. Did you notice the difference?
It was, I think, 14,750, I believe, last year. So just under 15,000.
What category in the budget is this included in?
It would fall under subscriptions and dues
Why are we approving this separately?
because it's over the general manager's signing limit of $15,000.
Thank you.
All right, questions, discussion on the Govinda subscription? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the subscription for Govinda software for 2024 in the amount of $17,500.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the subscription of Govinda for our software for the 2024 year in the amount of $17,500. Additional discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then it looks like we have a second item, which is correction of Wessler Task Order Number 2.
That's just an administrative problem with the task order that we approved on January 3rd doesn't match up with the amount we approved, so we're just trying to revise it to match the $45,000 that was originally intended. Just a mistake we made last time we're trying to correct.
Okay, so it's 40,000 was approved, and it should be 45, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make the motion because I may have generated the error myself. I move to approve task order number 2 for Wessler to provide program assistance to Lebanon Utilities in the amount not to exceed $45,000 for 2024, and authorize general manager to sign on behalf of the utility.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to approve task order number 2 for Wessler to provide program assistance to the utilities in the amount not to exceed $45,000 for 2024, with general manager signing on the utilities' behalf. Any questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will again offer public comment at this time. I don't see anyone here. Ed, you aware of any public comment?
No, sir.
All right, looks like our next meeting is scheduled for the 7th of February at 5 p.m. Anyone have anything else for the good of the board before we adjourn? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Ann to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.